Hi, my name is Paul Burrill, and I'm going to talk to you for just a moment about an introduction, if you will, to creative writing. Creative writing is it's a wide spectrum of ideas at this point, but I want to talk to you a little bit about creative writing and how to get started. So the first thing is your story needs a protagonist. Okay, you have to have a protagonist because that's the hero of the story. So the protagonist is somebody who has a want, somebody who wants something. To use Wizard of Oz, Dorothy wants to come home. To use any story you can imagine, any story you think about, they want something. All these great detective stories, they want to solve a crime. All these great action movies, they want to save their president or save the kidnapped kid, but they have a want, right? They're the hero. Now, hero doesn't always mean you wear a red cape. Hero means you're the focus of the story. You're going on a journey. Okay, the story is your journey. So you pick your protagonist, whoever that is. Okay, the protagonist is the hero of the story. That's who we're going to follow. Now, what does the protagonist need? An antagonist, right? An antagonist, which are the people or elements, if you will, that tried to stop the protagonist from reaching their goal or getting home. Okay, so to use the Wizard of Oz, the witch is an antagonist, of course. The apple throwing trees, that's an antagonist. The the field of poppies. Okay, in any action movie, the antagonist is typically the hero. In a well done action movie, the villain doesn't even realize they're a villain. They think that their vision or their mission is good and forthright. In every romance movie, the antagonist is the things that get in the way of the boy and the girl meeting or the man and the woman meeting. So your protagonist comes up against antagonists. And there's going to be plenty. There's going to be plenty based on the length of your story. Now, the most important thing, of course, is a three-act structure. If you don't have a three-act structure, your story is going to fall apart. The three-act structure is very simply boy meets girl, boy loses girl, boy gets girl back. Okay. Let's say your story is a romance. Boy meets girl, boy loses girl, story ends. Well, of course, that's a tragedy, but it's not a well written tragedy because we don't know what happened. The last thing in the world you want to do is leave your audience with questions. Now, that doesn't mean to wrap it up in any quick, fashionable way to wrap it up. That means wrap it up in the best way that you can. Also, doesn't mean it has to have a happy ending, but it has to have a conclusion, has to have a three-act structure. Wizard of Oz, Act 1, we meet this bratty little kid in Kansas. Act 2, she travels through this mythical world. Act 3, she returns to Kansas. And we get closure. We, as consumers of Western entertainment and Western literature and Western film, we expect resolution. We love resolution, even if it's not great. Even if it's a sad ending, we got an ending, right? And that's the most important thing, okay? You don't want to leave your audience wondering. You don't want your audience filling in blanks. You do want your audience, and when I say audience, I mean your reader, obviously. You do want your reader to process what you've written and talk about it with all of their friends and get them to read what you wrote. You don't want your reader to read what you wrote and went, this is not good. I'm going to tell all my friends this is not good. Especially the days of social media where the word gets around pretty quickly if your work is good or not. You really want to put your best foot forward. So you want to establish your protagonist. You want to make sure your protagonist is solid, something that we care about. Even if we hate them, we have to care about them because apathy is going to kill your story. More on that in a moment. Make sure your antagonist has some solid, make sure your protagonist has some solid antagonists. definite obstacles. If the protagonist can walk in the door, walk across the room, and get what they want, there's no story, right? There's no story because they got what they wanted without any kind of struggle, without any kind of growth. Because at the end of the day, the growth creates a metamorphosis. If the protagonist, by the end of the story, has not become someone different, someone better, someone smarter, if they haven't morphed into something, then you just wasted all the paper and all the ink and all the time. Okay? So, solid protagonist, solid antagonist, or a series of antagonists built into a 3-act structure. Okay? That is what's going to create good fiction writing. I want to be clear that one question comes up a lot in a short story class is length. Length is whatever serves the story. Okay, if you can tell the story in 5 pages, tell it in 5 pages. If you need 25 pages, that's okay. Tell it in 25 pages. There's also a thing called flash fiction. Flash fiction is an entire story in 6 or 8 words. Now, you're not really going to... You'll set up your protagonist. You might have a little difficulty with the antagonist, but you can still get it in flash fiction. 3-act structure in flash fiction is absolutely a concept that's understood rather than, or implied rather than written. So flash fiction is difficult. I've been writing most of my life, and just in the last 2 years have I started to understand flash fiction. Stick with creative writing, stick with prose, stick with writing stories that have, say it with me now, a 3-act structure. And that's a good introduction. Make sure you have those 3 things, and you're going to do well. You're going to do wonderfully. You're a writer. Write your story. Thank you very much. Have a great day.